Hey everybody, Darren with the White Hatter team. And again, I just want to thank NDSS for inviting us in this morning to share our information on how to leverage social media for college, university, and employment opportunities. Had a great time. We were being inundated with so many questions that we just couldn't answer them all during the live event. That's why we've got this recorded YouTube event now to answer some of the questions. And we're going to be answering the top voted questions in this part of the YouTube video. So let's have a look at some of the questions and start answering. So, someone got my IP address on Among Us. Am I safe? Yeah, you know, an IP address, depending upon may locate a general location, like you're in Nanaimo, British Columbia, Canada, not necessarily narrow you down to a direct address, right? So a lot of people use that as a part of the doxing process to gather personal information from you, maybe to use online as a form of intimidation or cyberbullying. But I think you're going to be pretty safe. That's one of the reasons why using a VPN is so cool, because when you use a VPN, a premium, not a free VPN, premium VPN, by turning your VPN on, if they capture your IP, well then it's a bogus, it's a spoofed IP if you choose to use it. So again, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But in most cases, no, not a big deal. I have almost no virtual footprint. I have only one Facebook page left unused for years. I found nothing else when searching my name or username. Is that a major issue? I'm going to answer honestly. Sometimes no, sometimes yes. So again, there are many employers who've said that if they're doing a background check on somebody and they don't have any kind of a social media presence, it causes them some concern. It kind of raises a little red flag in their brains to go like, that's kind of weird because teens today are on social media, so there should be something there. And if they're not, what are they trying to hide, or are they lying to us? So that's why having some form of a social media presence can work to your advantage. Now, if you don't have social media, is that a big deal? Maybe, maybe not. Because again, if I'm searching out somebody proactively, I'm looking to hire them for a part-time or full-time job, and I got somebody who's got a really good positive social media presence and somebody who doesn't, well then I'm probably going with the person who's got that strong social media presence because it's telling me more of a story of who they are. So, you know, it depends, I guess, is the answer, right? I have a video of me and my girl on my eyes only. Can people see that? No, unless you've invited them in or somebody has screen captured that picture and posted it publicly. And we've seen that a number of times from Only Me. What are your thoughts on privacy-countered browsers like Brave? Yeah. You know, one of the things that I say to young people, like I shared with the other group earlier this week, is that, you know, because we want you to start protecting what people know about you or what the internet knows about you. So one of the best ways you can do that is instead of using Google, think about using the Brave browser or Firefox browser. Think about using things like DuckDuckGo instead of Google search. Think about using Signal rather than messaging, Messenger app, and then combine it with a VPN. So doing all those things can help reduce what the internet knows about you to increase your privacy, right? Well, doing online X work as an 18-year-old hurt university chances? It depends. Next question. If your TikTok account is private, would college universities still see your videos? No, unless somebody has screen captured and recorded that and made it a public. And guess what? That happens all the time, right? So this is why I say to people, although you're using an account that is privatized, never ever believe that what you've posted in that privatized account is going to stay private. Because again, if we had a nickel for every time we heard a teen and an adult say that to us, we'd be very rich. Because a lot of times, depending upon who's in there, if it's a frenemy that you don't know about, they're recording this stuff and weaponizing it and then posting it publicly. Crypto or crypt? No. You know, I'm kind of on the fence on that one, to be very honest with you. There's days where I go, no. There's days that I go, maybe. I still think it's too early. I know there's some people who made some big bucks on crypto. Like I know that. But, you know, I think over the next year and a half to 2 years, we're going to see what happens with crypto. Like I'm predicting that it could become problematic. But we'll see. I'm kind of on the fence, to be very honest with you. Next one. How do you handle this if you've a really common name? That's why combining your name with a profile picture so that when people search your name out, they know it's you because of the profile picture. That's the way that you do it. Can you triangulate my position? I can't, but you know what? A law enforcement can. Through doing a search warrant and pinging towers to triangulate, either on cell phones or using Wi-Fi. There are ways to do that for sure, but in most cases you need a search warrant or what's called a production order in order to do that. If your TikTok account is private, can college universities see your video? The answer is no. I think I already answered that question. However, there's nothing to stop somebody who's in your TikTok account, who you invited in, from recording that video and posting it publicly. Happens all the time. Can I hide what I search from my internet provider? No, you can't. Next one. VPNs can help to a degree, but never depend upon that. Next one. Does going incognito truly make you untraceable on the internet? No, it doesn't. All it does is it prevents the history on your computer from recording where you're going, right? That's all it does. But your internet service provider, Shaw, TELUS, Bell, they're watching and recording everything that you're doing, and that information is easily accessible by law enforcement, especially if they're investigating a crime that you were involved in using technology, right? So that's all Incognito does. But the other benefit to Incognito, though, is it removes the filter bubble. So when you're doing searching of your name, you're going to see exactly what a college, university, or a job or a sports team is going to see about you. That's one of the beauties of Incognito, or private viewing for those of you that use Safari. Does picking a side in the European conflict currently have an impact here in Canada? A good question. Probably not. However, you're going to have groups that are pro and anti-conflict, what's going on right now. So if you're pro-conflict, well, then you're going to have people saying bad things. If you're negative, you're going to have people on the other side going back and forth as well. So that's why what I mentioned in the presentation is, if you can stay away from politics wherever possible in your social media, especially at your ages, kind of a good thing to be thinking about. Isn't it against the law to see other private conversations on what they send to their friends? The answer is no, because once you post it on the internet, it's not private, it becomes public, right? Do you think that your set of skills could help against Russian technological threats in the Ukraine conflict? There are many people who have way better skills than I do in my field doing exactly that. Does Incognito really hide your search history? Only on your device, right? The device in which you're using, only on your device. But your internet service provider is still collecting where you're going and what you're doing. I couldn't find myself online. Yeah, so don't forget, Google your name in quotation marks, any email addresses, any cell phone numbers, home addresses, usernames, to see if there's anything out there. It is getting harder. One of the things I do want to share with you, it is getting harder for people to do background checks, because so many of these platforms are now moving to encryption, and which is a benefit, right? Like there's a whole kinds of gains, right? Like I think when the internet and social media first came out, not knowing privacy issues, all of us were putting, myself included, we were putting way too much information about ourselves out there online that we didn't know could be used, right? So over the past couple of years, however, a lot of these platforms are making it much, much harder for people to see what it is that you're doing. Now, that's really a good thing from a privacy standpoint. On the flip side of the coin, though, it's helping the criminal element do things online without fear of being intercepted by law enforcement as well, right? So, if you have a social media account with a different name and no email or phone number attached to it, can universities still find it? If it's an open account, maybe, right? Are they? Probably not. Again, it depends upon how deep they're going to search, right? If there is something already online that you want to delete or have recently deleted, like a pic or snap, is there a way it can truly be deleted before school looks at you for scholarships? Yeah, that's why making application to Google to have it unindexed is really important. But that only unindexes off of Google. It doesn't unindex it maybe off of some of the other search engines that are out there. But again, if you can't delete it, then bury it. Right, is my comment to you. And the way to bury it is by joining all those sites that I mentioned to bury that type of information. Since Twitter was recently bought by Elon Musk, do you think it will lose any amount of influence? Well, right now, some of you may not know that he hasn't purchased it yet. There's still a legal fight going on by a couple of the shareholders over this issue. So to be seen if he's still going to own it. But let's say he does. Do you think it will lose any amount of influence? It's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen, right? Will Twitter once again become the wild, wild west? We don't know, right? We're going to have to wait and see. But there's a huge fight going on right now, and Elon still doesn't own it yet. Is Tor browser still secure? Tor stands for the onion router, so it allows you to go into the deep web, right? So you got the surface web, the light web. That's what Google and Yandex and the other search engines index. The biggest part of the internet is called the deep web. A part of that is the dark web. In order to get down there, you need an onion router. Like Tor is a really good example. Is Tor secure? It's more secure, right? But never ever believe that just because you're using Tor, it's going to keep you anonymous. I mean, we've had lots and lots of reporting now saying that people who are using Tor for nefarious things are being identified by law enforcement and other agencies. So it's definitely more secure, however. What's your opinion on NFTs, non-fungible tokens? I think I already answered that. Stay away from them at this point in time. Just over the past couple of weeks, NFTs are getting hit really hard where people bought high and now they can't sell them. Or if they do sell them, they're taking a huge financial loss, right? So what should I do if, are they going to look through my camera roll in my phone? No, they won't. No, they won't. What should I do if I have the same name as a celebrity? Again, having a name and then associating the name with a profile picture is what will differentiate you from the celebrity. So that's how you go about doing that. What do you mean by light and dark web? What are the differences? Great question. So I want you to think of the internet. A lot of people use this analogy of an iceberg, right? When you see an iceberg, you see the tip of the iceberg. It's the smallest part of the iceberg, right? Well, the internet, the tip of the iceberg is the light web, right? It's the smallest part of the internet. That part of the internet is the one that gets indexed by Google, Yandex when you're doing your searching. The biggest part of the internet is what lies beneath the water. Like the biggest part of an iceberg is what you don't see underneath the surface. Well, the same thing with the internet. The internet, the biggest part of the internet is the deep web, and a part of that is the dark web. And that's places that Google, Yandex, and the other search engines don't index. And to get down there, you usually need an onion router of some type in order to get down there. So that's the difference. What makes something suspicious online? Great question. I guess it just depends, right? Like it depends. As an online investigator, there's a lot of things that although look suspicious to somebody else, when I look at it, I don't see it, right? So I guess it depends upon who's looking at it. That makes it suspicious or not. And I think that's a good place to end on questions. So again, big thank you to NDSS, there's the confetti again, for bringing us in today to talk about leveraging social media. A little different presentation than what most of you are used to when it comes to safety and security, right? Again, I cannot emphasize enough that those teens who are watching me right now and young adults who become good digital citizens, you guys will have an advantage when it comes to post-secondary and sporting and employment opportunities down the road. And today's presentation was all about giving you guys an advantage to leverage it to your advantage. However, for those teens who aren't being good digital citizens, I hope you'll learn today that what you're doing online can come back and haunt you and sometimes make it very difficult for you to get into a college or university if that's what you want to do, or even to get a part-time or even full-time job. So on behalf of the entire White Hatter team, thank you all for watching this YouTube recorded event. Bye, everybody.